I think I tried. Tried doing it on a computer. Maybe I should have just done it on a mobile phone. Yes, sorry about that. Yeah.
You're good. You're good. I think you just helped a lot of people find out that you can't get on desktop. I should have told you from the get-go. I'm sorry.
No worries.
But I'm really happy that here. So that completes it. We have all 5 members. We're full and we're ready to go. It's good because I like to give always a 5 to 10 minute buffer of small talk before we start getting into a conversation in order to get the crowd going. We have close to 3,000 people in here. I pinned a link to the space on top if you want to give it a share. Retweet and just don't worry. This is a recorded session. You can catch up on it at any given time, and I'm sure you're going to be able to read all about it following tonight. So, very exciting day for, I believe, the entire NFT and crypto space. And so basically, we're very, very excited to be able to host this. And to be able to talk about about all things ApeCoin, the ApeCoin DAO, the board, and I'm sure a lot of the questions that were asked. And so through the spaces, we're also going to be pinning a lot of posts that are relevant to what we're talking about. So definitely, if you want to pay attention to that, we're going to start it. So yeah, let's get this going. Very, very excited to have Alexis Ohanian, Amy Wu, Maaria Bajwa, Yacht, and Dean here with us, Dean Steinbeck here with us tonight. And so, yeah, basically, as I was saying, this is an historical day, and we're going to get a chance to hear from the ApeCoin DAO board for the first time ever. And I'm really honored to be able to introduce everybody to you tonight. Just for the people who don't know me, my name's Farouk Sarmad. I'm founder of Rug Radio, the first fully decentralized media ecosystem in Web3. Fellow ape since May 1st, investor and community builder, and just such a fan of everyone that's on stage. And so let's get right into it. And I'd love to start with introductions. So just a quick round of introduction. I'm gonna go per the order that's honestly on the ApeCoin website. We have Alexis Ohanian, co-founder of Reddit, general partner and founder of 776. Amy Wu, head of ventures and gaming at FTX. Maaria Bajwa, who's principal at Soundventures. Yacht, co-founder and chairman of Animoca Brands. And last but not least, Dean Steinbeck, president and general counsel at Horizon Labs. And so I'm just gonna hit it up to you, one by one in the same order. Maybe Alexis, you want to open up for us and give us a brief introduction.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Very, very excited to be up here. You gave my background flawlessly there. In terms of Web3 and crypto experience, I was very lucky to have been a seed investor in Coinbase back in 2012. And candidly, the only reason I did that investment is because Brian Armstrong was really, really compelling. And the r/Bitcoin community on Reddit was so fired up about this unique technology. And, made other investments in crypto along the way, was fortunate enough to be in the ETH pre-sale, and been pretty early in a number of really interesting projects from like Bison Trails to Filecoin. And I most recently, really over COVID, just got fully crypto pilled because it became clear that this technology wasn't going away. And more importantly, was becoming this connective tissue between capital and culture. And, for 17 years, my God, 17 years ago, I started Reddit and watched, had a front row seat to these amazing communities get started, do really inspiring things, creative things, funny things, charitable things, impressive things, just so much. And what I've watched in the last 2 years and what's really, just crypto pilled me is the fact that all of that great energy of disparate online communities that I saw flourish on Reddit now has this extra layer of ownership, which is so powerful. And I was fortunate enough to get my first ape, I think in like May or June of last year, and got a couple more and started watching people on Twitter and Discord just vibing in a way that it reminded me so much of early days Reddit, and got to know the team at Yuga pretty early. And I told them the same thing. I was like, the energy here is early days Reddit energy. except the potential is something unlike, I think it sounds cheesy, but unlike the world has ever seen before. And so I feel very fortunate that the squad asked, as this DAO was getting formed, for me to join the board. And I just hope I can bring the experiences of Reddit and building online communities and crypto and all that good stuff. So thank you. Pass the mic.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Obviously, big fan, Alexis. and so up next, Amy Wu, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background.
Thanks, Farouk. And it's kind of hard to follow Alexis, but similarly, I mean, so I actually got into crypto later. I started angel investing in the space in 2017, and then when I was a partner at Lightspeed, I was leading our crypto and gaming investing. But I would say similarly to Alexis, definitely got red pilled during COVID in the space in a much deeper way. And I've actually been a gaming investor for longer than crypto, and have been in this space, lifelong gamer myself. And currently, at FTX, I lead our $2 billion venture fund, and also our corp dev and gaming business. And we just have earlier on have been super fascinated at the nexus of what's going on in Web3 and gaming. Personally, just thinking about NFTs and just what is the next use case and utility for that. I was deep in the gaming world, and so it seemed really organic to me that was going to be a place of adoption. And so I've personally watched the Bored Ape team sort of from afar, and the community from afar, have seen how passionate they are. And I would say, got to know the team over the last, number of months, and is super humbled to be part of this community. And in the last, I would say, a couple of days since the launch of the DAO, it's been just incredible to just feel welcomed by the community. And this is the reason why this is the number one NFT community in the world. It's just so thriving and very, very special. And yeah, I think in general, just very humbled to be here.
I love that. Thank you very much. Up next, Maaria Bajwa of Soundventure.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I joined Soundventure 5 years ago, and that's sort of when my crypto journey kind of began. I started it for selfish reasons. I was new into venture. I was a little bit older in my career than everyone else. And so I wanted to get into something new, some technology that was new, that I knew that I could own in a way that no one else, could on our team. And so I started looking into VR, and I started looking into crypto. I got really into VR for a little bit, where at some point, I think in 2017, 2018, I was ranked number 250th in this game called Hover Junkers on the Vive. It was amazing. But realized when I started going deeper into crypto that was really something really spoke to me. The idea of, distributed trustless systems that are faster, better, more transparent, more efficient than any of our existing systems today. There was really an aha moment. And so I just kind of started digging deeper into the space then. And I think I've gone through the entire arc that I think most people have who've been in the space for a while, where I was a Bitcoin maxi for a little bit, where I was Lightning Network is going to be the thing that changes everything. And then now I'm all about ETH, and then who knows what it's going to be next. But love how every single day is a little bit different, and every single day there's new innovation that's coming out. And so the way that I think about investing today at Soundventure is we invest by building. And so by building, you can actually see what needs to exist in the blockchain ecosystem that doesn't exist today, and then you can go and find those investment opportunities and build that and invest that way. And so I'm a co-founder of a company called Sixth Wall, which I co-founded with Mila Kunis, Morgan Beller, who is from Libra, Lisa Sterbakov, who comes from the entertainment and Hollywood world. And we started with Stoner Cats, which is we launched last summer, and then we're launching another show called The Gimmicks, which is launching next week on Solana. And it's all about just testing distributed content creation models. And so that's one thing that I'm building. And then I'm also just an active collector and with my husband, and I'm very excited. I participate in a lot of different ecosystems. And so the Board Ape Yacht Club is one that I've been part of since May through Jimmy East. And so I'm very, very humbled and thankful that I get to be a part of this board. I'm really excited to see where it goes.
I love that. Love hearing the passion. Yacht, see you of Animoca Brands.
Thank you, and it's a great honor and privilege to be working alongside this illustrious sort of council members. So yeah, my name is Yacht. I'm chairman and co-founder of Animoca Brands. We had our start in the NFT world really with CryptoKitties, where we ended up becoming the publishers of CryptoKitties in the region in January 2018, and actually it was through one of our sort of subsidiaries that we got involved. Basically swallowed the red pill, went all in. Since then, have done over 150 investments in all things NFTs. And so of our early investments, we were lead investors in companies like Sky Mavis, company by Axie Infinity, early in Decentraland, OpenSea, like in 2018, 2019, and a bunch of other, I guess, more household names today in the NFT space. We're also the company behind the Sandbox and a dozen other metaverse and gaming-related projects. Sometimes people confuse us as a VC in the space, but we're not. We're an operating company. Everything is out of balance sheet. And the way that we think of the space is, tokens are resources in the space. And so from our perspective, we're constantly building and reinvesting out of our growing treasury, and very privileged to be here to support, the ape ecosystem. We're building games and just a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be hosting you. And last but not least, Mr. Dean Steinbeck, President and General Counsel of Horizon Labs.
Yeah, thanks, Broke, for having me. Really honored and humbled to be here. After hearing the bios of the other board members, I'm wondering exactly what it is I'm doing here. But yeah, as you mentioned, I am President and General Counsel at Horizon Labs. I am a corporate IP lawyer by background. Started my career working for big law firms, for traditional tech companies. And I got the crypto bug in 2017, which is when I, just by luck, happened to meet my co-founder and current CEO, Rob Diglione, who was giving a keynote speech in Austin on crypto. And 3 weeks later, I left my job as general counsel for one of the largest clinical communication platforms in the US healthcare market, and joined the crazy world of crypto. And I've been there and I've been here since 2018, and spent a lot of time over the last 4 years thinking and writing about decentralized governance from the legal perspective. And I hope that, me having experience running a decentralized crypto project previously and being a hashtag crypto lawyer will give me a unique understanding of the ability of the industry, and I hope to be able to share that value with the DAO and the community here.
Thank you so much. And so, I think I speak for the entire space, but specifically for everyone in the ape ecosystem here, that, when we found out about these news, we all freaked out. If I'm not mistaken, I saw a Spaces start last night and then end this morning. So when I woke up this morning, it was 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, obviously when the claim started. Obviously wanted to be there for the second it goes live. Everybody was just ready. Some people had pulled all-nighters on Twitter Spaces just to be able to say they claimed when this started. And it's really exciting. So I want to ask you, we, the community, we're very excited for this moment, and we're very honored and blessed. And so what are you all most excited about in terms of being on the board?
I hinted, if I may step in here, I hinted this at the jump. Like, I have been a glutton for internet culture since I was a kid. That is where I grew up. It was on message boards. It was on AIM. It was on all kinds of forums on the internet. And obviously, building Reddit, it was this amazing front row seat to seeing internet culture manifest itself. And I remember, the OG meme templates of like Icon has cheeseburger, right? seeing internet culture go from fringe to what it is now, which is, I mean, it's mainstream. Internet culture drives culture, period. And seeing that happen, and then in particular over these last 12 months or so, watching it happen, not just with NFT Summer, but in particular within the broader ape community, was something special. I mean, going to NFT NYC, meeting so many fellow apes, seeing the merch, seeing how much people cared, I got handed homemade stickers and pins, and like people were making their own individual merch with their own ape, and it reminded me of early days of Reddit. It reminded me of stuff in Oblos in 2005 with the first 300 Reddit shirts we made, and seeing the pride of people to wear them. Except now it's happening so much faster. And as an extension, when I think about the power of the community, the energy, the vibes, this is at the heart of internet culture today. And what I aspire to, and what I suspect we'll see come out of this, is a bunch of folks who are very, very motivated to now further this culture and further connect all of this energy, all this community, all this pride, and supercharge it with interesting projects. And I don't even know that's the magic of the internet, is I don't know what folks are going to come up with. But the DAO has laid out a really nice plan for, I think, elevating some good ideas. And I'm just excited for another front row seat to what I think will be a really fascinating journey.
So yeah, maybe if I can just add on top of that, to us, what it started off with the Bored Apes community, and the Bored Apes community really captured sort of the zeitgeist of what the current NFT culture is right now. And it's a little bit like, if maybe 30 or 40 years ago we had asked sort of, our parents, that, we would be, worshiping sort of, the superheroes in tights, right, as sort of cultural icons of today, they would have probably thought we were all crazy. And, Bored Apes as a culture represents this generation, this zeitgeist, this sort of moment where, it's the expression of the current culture of where we are with, what NFTs mean. So it's historic. And the ApeCoin sort of is the sort of beginning of expanding that culture towards larger groups. And that's what we think here, because the large sort of the community that built this has given us this energy. But it's how do you get more people to combine with this and to join it? And this is kind of the role of the DAO, to expand the culture with really sort of Bored Apes as kind of the starting point of this, but certainly not the ending point, as it all sort of combines the different experiences with other forms of culture, whether it's gaming or media, and we hope to sort of play a role in help directing that energy towards expanding the community and the culture of NFTs around the world.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Alexis and Yacht that, for myself and also for FTX, like we still see, Web3 is so early, and it's both in a kind of a fragile state right now, and also just a force of, it seems inevitable, but as both builders and investors in the space, we see great responsibility in just playing our part, playing a supporting role in essentially bringing Web3 to where it really can be, and how exciting is that with the ApeCoin DAO and just the potential that this project can bring, and so yeah, just super excited to and also like see a lot of responsibility and just our role in helping make that happen in a lot of different places, like that y'all had mentioned, in games, in entertainment, and there's so many different ways that this DAO can move forward with this incredible IP, and super pumped to do that.
Boom. I love that. And so Alexis, the excitement of the community since day one, from them making derivatives and selling art and just wanting to really be fully immersed in the space, has been quite incredible. And so, following up on your comments, how are you guys thinking about Web3 currently, and how the ApeCoin DAO will fit in?
Oh, well, maybe I'll start. Also, Maaria, do you want to go?
Yeah, I can go. So I think, I mean, with Web3 and DAOs, what's really interesting is that, you know, it's the first time I feel like community members can actually become the stewards of the community that they helped create. And sort of this decentralized organization, this structure really gives the community members the tools, the resources, and all of the, you know, things that they need in order to be able to leverage and really capitalize on a lot of the value of the community and ecosystem that they've created. And so I think what's really interesting about DAOs, because like there are DAO models that work, and I think there are DAO models that haven't worked in the past. But what's really interesting and exciting about the Bored Ape community is that this is like the first community I felt that has been so determined and involved and really been a key and important part of building out what, you know, this entire brand has become today. And so I think with the Ape Foundation, you know, there's a world where we can show what good DAO models should look like, and what good communities and what good ecosystems and what good decentralized organizations should actually be. And so I'm very, very excited about that.
Here. And what's wild is we kind of have a preview, or well, not preview is not the right word, but like we saw a glimpse of this kind of energy throughout Reddit. And I'll be the first to admit, like, I did not plan this. I did not expect this. And for 5 years, you know, Reddit was a part of this larger company, Condé Nast, and we had all left. And it didn't really grow product-wise. It just sort of froze in time. And what kept it going when it was essentially unmanaged and really not developed, what kept it going was the community, was the fact that there were tens of thousands of people self-organizing around whether it was their favorite sports team or like literally stapling bread to trees, which is its own community. I think it's r/bread stapled to trees, where people staple bread to trees and take photos of it. They found ways to self-organize. And so seeing what has happened now in a decentralized world, thanks to technology like the blockchain, I know I feel like I've already seen this movie before, because that energy of decentralized people coming together around ideas, whether they're serious or silly or philanthropic or what have you, like it's existed even before the plumbing was efficient and effective. And now we're talking about something that is truly global. And if it worked in a closed ecosystem, then I can't help but feel like even more creative and interesting things are going to happen in an open one across the entire internet. And the interesting part about this is you open up to the creativity of so many more people that can always be far more creative than a handful of folks on the top down. And I know, you know, I very much consider my role on this board as a steward of the community, and this is a role I think is shared among everyone here you're hearing from, and I feel pretty excited to see what comes of it.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, like building a community by yourself is really hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to build it from the ground up. And so what Web3 really enables, and I think what the Ape Foundation is trying to do, is giving people the opportunity to value capture part of like this incredible distribution mindshare that like all of the apes here today have like played a very, very key role in creating. And that has never been possible before.
Absolutely. And so you just mentioned something. You mentioned the Ape Foundation. So that kind of like segues into my next question for y'all. But perhaps we'll be more specifically to Dean here. What about Yuga's role in all of this?
Yeah, so Yuga Labs obviously played a big role as a contributor. It was a huge reason that this project became a reality. And obviously, as it announced yesterday, it has adopted ApeCoin as the official token of the BAYC ecosystem. So clearly, Yuga will continue to be an important member of the ape ecosystem. But I think, you know, it's not by accident that none of us speaking tonight are founders of Yuga Labs. And I think there's a very strong desire to make it clear that the ecosystem is now in the hands of the community itself.
And so, what about that one-of-one NFT that Yuga gifted the Ape Foundation? What does this mean to the community?
Sorry, I was getting really excited here.
I get you. Like, I'm sweating.
At the end of the day, right, you have this one-of-one NFT. And so if you sort of check the boxes of, so I mean, one, it's attractive, great. Symbolically, like it represents a much bigger community, which is powerful, right? It's collectively owned IP. And what's wild is, again, in the hands of this community, it is really up to them for what is to be done with it, right? This could be, think of all the interesting stuff you've already seen happen across different projects of late. Think of then all the stuff that we can't even think of because creativity is just funny like that. And it's up to the community to figure out what to do with this IP, right? So does it end up on merch? Does it end up in a co-brand with Supreme? Does it end? I'm trying my best, but this is, like I said, the best ideas that I could come up with if I spent a year thinking about it are still going to pale in comparison to what this collective can come up with. And that's the fun part. I don't actually know what it means per se for the community, other than here you have some collectively owned IP that's clearly very valuable, that has a movement behind it, and that's pretty cool.
It is. It is very cool. I invite everybody to go have a look at it if you didn't know yet. I think you're going to be very intrigued by it, and it's a very little thing that you guys have put together. And so I wanted to take a moment to talk about the launch contributors. Notice that on your website. Who are they?
Yeah, so this is Dean. I'll take the first stab. So the launch contributors are the people and the teams that played a significant role in getting Ape off the ground. For example, Horizon Labs, my company, is a contributor. We helped with a number of different items here, like token design, smart contract development. But there were other contributors, including, for example, Animoca, who was a major contributor. So I don't know, maybe Yacht, you'd like to share a few words about Animoca's role?
Yeah, sure. No, thank you. Yeah, we were also honored to be a launch contributor. We worked on helping, design the token, the utility for the token, and also helped in constructing the DAO as it currently stands. And as a community already knows today, we're also developing a number of games. One of them through our subsidiary Enway that was announced in terms of details yet to be released. And also most recently, we sort of announced adoption of the ApeCoin with Benji Bananas, which happens to be just another game featuring monkeys, which is just very opportune and fun. And just as a point of sort of reference, we announced just at the same time we announced the sale of the mint passes, using Ape, and it was sold out in a minute. It was pretty wild, and just sort of demonstrating sort of the energy and the passion of the community that is Ape.
Yeah. That's just awesome. And so, Amy and Maaria, you both have a lot of experience with other DAOs. Could you tell me about that and how it compares to this one?
Happy to start. Yeah, so DAOs are such a special part of Web3 culture. It's a decentralized autonomous organization, and it really taps into this ethos of bottoms-up governance and also decentralized sort of governance and control, and also just kind of power to the community in terms of like creating both value and also sharing the upside of that. And so it's been a really interesting space because like over the last, I would say, kind of like year in Web3 and crypto, DAOs have really evolved. So at this point, I would say most blue chip and top projects in blockchain space are in the form of DAOs. And of course, there's like a spectrum of what how they're governed. But I think with ApeCoin DAO, we had really spoken to a lot of the top DAOs in the space to learn from them and understand what's worked well, what's not worked so well, and how can we draw upon other people's experiences there in order to in order to set this one up for success and as sort of like fits our ethos. And I think some of those tenets that, you know, we're really excited about, and I'm really excited about, include just, you know, transparency and just like a really strong, clear communications. And I think that's kind of been, we've really tried to demonstrate that with the material so far. And then also in just like really having a way for people to be heard, but then also kind of threading that needle between people being heard, but then also equitable ways of just making decisions as a group and then moving forward. So I think those are some of the things that we've learned a lot from other DAOs and hope to implement here along with the community.
I love that. And
And
sorry, I didn't mean to butcher your name earlier. So Maaria, go ahead.
it's okay. You're not the first, and you won't be the last.
Don't worry. I have a similar issue here, so I can relate.
Yep. So I think DAOs it's so interesting because like I think people in Web3 and crypto really want DAOs to work, but like I do think that there's still an evolution in DAOs that needs to happen, and that's kind of like what we're trying to push forward with the Ape Foundation. So I think today, and Vitalik actually, if anyone's interested, Vitalik has actually written a number of blog posts about, you know, decentralized organizations and what works and what doesn't. And in general, I mean, like the TLDR is that I think it's like decentralized autonomous organizations might not be as successful as like decentralized organizations, because today people still need some type of structure or infrastructure or some type of playbook that they can go out and replicate. And so I think, you know, with the way that we've designed the proposal system, and how you get, you know, something through the committee, all of it was designed to give you basically the tools that you need in order to really operationalize this organization and this foundation. And so I think, you know, we took playbooks from DAOs are notoriously, it's very hard to get people engaged and keep people engaged pretty consistently. And so I think by giving them the structure, I think we'll have a much, much more robust and engaged ecosystem. And in general, I think one of the things that I'm thinking about, and the assumption that I have, is that, you know, consensus by committee, typically at centralized organizations, doesn't necessarily work. And that's why you have all these traditional Web 2.0 companies. But here with the Ape Foundation, I think we have the opportunity to prove that consensus by community can actually work. And so that's very, very interesting. And I think our DAO model, I'm optimistic that our DAO model will become the future model that other people replicate.
Yeah, and this is Dean. I'll just jump in. Obviously, agree with everything Amy and Maaria said. But one of the interesting aspects of this DAO, which is not unique to us particularly, but I think the community will be excited about, is the ability to delegate votes. And so what vote delegation means is that ape holders will be able to assign or delegate their right to vote to a third party. This is a really important feature because it ensures that ape holders who don't have the time or interest to follow each and every proposal no longer have to choose between guessing, you know, how to vote on a proposal or just abstaining from voting altogether. Instead, with delegation, they can have their voice heard by delegating their vote to someone they trust, who best represents their interests. And this might be a major influencer in the community, or it might be someone famous in the community like PP Man, but only on his birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday, PP Man. And so who are the moderators?
Yeah, so let me just speak up on that. You know, moderators are basically part of a company that were hired to be administrators of the DAO, and they were specifically chosen on the advice of professional advisors, including counsel. And I think outside of the fact that they obviously have to be professional, it's really important that they stay as unbiased third parties and have a strong track record of such, you know, to basically be community stewards of sorts, right? And the company was created in order to help these type of entities like DAOs operate more efficiently, basically to be neutral and fair. in their judgment.
And so, while I've got you Yacht here, we're obviously, all of us, we're very excited about ApeCoin today. Goes without saying, seeing all over Twitter and across multiple channels. But something that I think people are very excited about is also staking. Note on your website, when I go through the proposals, that there was one put forward by Animoca. Could you perhaps walk us through those?
Yes, of course. In fact, we put forward two proposals, but specifically on AIP4, really, I think it's worth mentioning that this staking proposal, I think, is unique in the sense that it's probably the first proposal of its kind. And it was based on the experiences when we started playing around with, NFT staking, actually, 3 years ago with some of our other products, and sort of was an experience based on all of that we're doing with, with Rev and later on with Sand. And this is sort of, I would say, sort of an evolution, an improved evolution of all of that. And hopefully it just gets better from here. And what's unique about this is that you don't just stake fungible tokens as an ape for reward, which is, a very classic model, but you have to use your NFT. But the NFT itself becomes more like a key rather than being something where you have to lock the NFT to receive rewards for it. You basically lock the tokens, and the ape itself becomes a key that unlocks it, which means that you can still trade your NFTs. And then that's, I think, unique because it means that you don't lose the ability to sort of continue to have the tradability and the flexibility or the utility, because that's the other thing that this solves as well, which is that, owning an ape doesn't necessarily mean that it's just for staking. That's just one function. What if you want to use your ape inside a game, and if you or someone else wants to give it utility within a game, for instance, or another type of metaverse experience? Well, it doesn't help when the actual NFT is staked. So this is a way in which we can combine the best of both worlds. And I think would be the very first sort of NFT project in the world that implements sort of the NFT staking in such a manner.
Just to comment on that, this just capital efficiency and liquidity are just very interesting topics, I think, in crypto. And as a longtime crypto investor, one of the things that is really cool about this proposal, and just my opinion is that this allows. There's some people who are going to who will care about capital efficiency and wanting to do more with their assets. In this case, it's like doing more, being able to actually use your NFT, and being able to be more capital efficient with the tokens versus a traditional model in staking, which is, people are contributing and staking tokens because they want to get rewarded for that. But when you do that, it's essentially stuck and you can't do anything else with it. Or when you're utilizing the NFT for staking. And so really love that the proposal sort of like evolves this concept of staking in a way so that people can do more with their assets. And this is, again, like a pretty important concept for a lot of people who participate in blockchain crypto. And I think, again, some people aren't really going to care about that and others will. It's a pretty cool point of innovation.
I think, just to add also on this one is that, when sort of going into the second part of the staking proposal, what's being proposed here on sort of AIP5 is just that the size of we're talking about 17.5%, of Ape being available, over the next 3 years to be staked in such a manner, divided between the different pools, is actually already, I would say, like unheard of as far as I know, in terms of the sort of the size and the really the demonstration of building the community and trying to sort of grow it that way.
Yeah, it's the size, I think, and also the duration, right? Because I mean, oftentimes, like typically, I think in DeFi, the reward and incentive programs typically run for 3 months, and here we're talking about 3 years. And so, really, I think it goes to the fundamentals of the Ape Foundation, where we want this to be a thing for the next 5, 10, 50, 100 years. And I think you kind of get that from how we launched this and with AIP5.
Wow, that's fascinating. And it's really impressive. I invite everyone to go check it out. It's very easy to find out if you go on ApeCoin.com. I just want people to be able to really navigate it. If you go to the top, next to proposals, it says discussion. And then you'll be able to see, AIP 1 through 5. But this one specifically, we just spoke about AIP 4 and 5. And so, by the way, speaking about token, how were the token allocations for Bored Ape Yacht Club and Mutant Ape Yacht Club determined?
Yeah, this is Dean. I'll jump in here. So the ratio between Bored Ape and Mutant Apes was determined by looking at the volume adjusted 30-day average floor price of each collection just before the launch. So it's literally just the math of that 30-day average without any bias or prejudice as to anybody's personal opinion as to what the ratio should be. And this method ensured that the token claim was fairly distributed and wouldn't distort the market prices of each collection in relation to each other. It's using the 30-day average price also made sure that the system couldn't be gamed by any individuals who might have wanted to try and manipulate floor prices to their benefit if they had the opportunity. So again, we felt like a 30-day volume adjusted average was the way to go.
And I think the other important piece to recognize here, and the other innovation that we thought about was attaching the airdrop instead of to a snapshot, attaching it to the NFT itself. And I haven't seen that model exist before, but it prevents Sybil attacks or people trying to game the system. It also doesn't reward people who might be trading, so it rewards long-term holders, and those are the people that we really want to build this ecosystem with. And so those are the people that we really want to be a part of the Ape Foundation. And so this approach, we think, was the right one to make sure that we have we reward the right people and we get them involved in the Ape Foundation.
Go ahead, Amy.
I'm happy to just share some insights as well, just from the FTX side, just because obviously this is a huge day for us. Like, we were helping market make the or Alameda was helping market make the token, and for those who don't, so FTX is one of the largest crypto exchanges. We're super excited to list token today, along with a number of other exchanges. It was a huge day. Just to share some numbers. I think so far, since launch, it's about 2.6 or almost $3 billion of traded volumes. It's one of our biggest token launches. And it just speaks to the immense amount of interest in the space. There was definitely some, I would say, misunderstandings from various media sources that were like, oh, what's going on? Is the token crashing? They're looking at charts and they were kind of confused about what's going on. So I'm happy to, kind of shed some light on that and how it works. I think what we saw was that token was listed, and then there was a brief period where there's a huge spike. And what that is it's actually when at the very beginning, when a token first starts to get traded, it's a pretty volatile period. In this case, it was probably a period of about 30 minutes or less than an hour, when there's not much liquidity actually on the exchange, because this is a brand new token that just started trading. And so I would actually say that the spike, it's actually pretty low volumes when we compare it to all of the tokens traded today. The spike really was pointing to how much demand there was of the token. There was I think Farouk mentioned there were people who literally pulled an all-nighter last night to make sure they were trade, they were in on the trade at the beginning. And so you saw that volatility, and as soon as the market really started picking up and there was more liquidity, it was immediately stabilized. It's pretty much exactly what we expected to see. And really, we look at FTX, the total volume of traded token, and sort of the first day and the first few days of launch to kind of dictate the reflect how excited a community and people are about a token. And I would say this is one of our biggest volume launches. And so generally just really successful launch today.
Wow. Well, congratulations, because I can tell you that from the other side of the coin, it was a very, very pleasant experience and a very just like easy one compared to a lot of them that we've seen in the space. So I really can thank you for adding that. And so I think another thing that we have to mention is the scams. This is something that's always going to happen, and we have a lot of people listening in live, a lot of people that are going to be listening in after the fact. And I think it's important to protect the community here. So, Maaria, you've tweeted quite a fair bit about this since the announcement yesterday. Can you tell us more? And how does the security protect itself?
Yeah, I mean, RIP my mentions today, by the way, because anytime you tweet something with like MetaMask or scam, like all of the bots come out.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to get through. Just be careful. Make sure that you always look at what the username looks like, and make sure that you're on the right page. I always recommend going through the official channels. So whether it's on Discord or whether it's on like, the ApeCoin at ApeCoin Twitter URL, always go through official channels, always link through that. If you go to a website pretty frequently, so if you go to the discussion forum or the snapshot for Ape Foundation, bookmark it, and that's an easy way that you never have to like find the right URL, and you always know that it's correct. And then just in general for crypto security, okay, the most important thing that I can share is never ever share your seed phrase, whether it's with a friend or with someone who you think is tech support or whatever it is. Just don't share your seed phrase with anyone, because if someone gets a hold of your seed phrase, they get a hold of all of your assets. So that's number one. Number two is just be careful when you look at different websites or anytime you do a transaction. So what I've kind of often seen in a lot of the scams that exist in the ecosystem, it's like it looks just close enough to the real website, but the UX typically is not that great, right? So the social handles don't actually link to anything or the right places, or it pops up a MetaMask signing pop up, but it's actually not an extension, and you can kind of notice that. And so just be aware whenever you do anything in crypto or on the web, just be a little bit careful and really look and think about the website that you're on before you really do anything. And also get a hardware wallet. That's my last point.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. I don't know if someone wanted to double down on the security part. If not, I'm gonna go right to our last question of the evening. And so, last question is, I know that you all have a 6-month term on the council, and so I want to ask you. And by the way, so the wallet was pinned. So just to go back on security real quick, right now pit tweet, you're probably going to see a couple of seconds. Just tap on that, and there's the ApeCoin contract address, the official one. Just save it somewhere so you have it in the future, especially if you have people around you asking for it. But
can I just mention one thing on that?
Yeah, please.
Too? So if you go and you claim your Ape coins, and you're like, you go through the transaction and you don't actually see it in your wallet, don't freak out. All you have to do is MetaMask is this weird thing where you have to approve ERC20 tokens in order to actually pull your wallet balance for it. So just go to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap. You can look up ApeCoin there, and then there should be a button right next to the contract address that lets you add the ApeCoin ERC20 token to your wallet, so that you can actually see your ApeCoins directly in your MetaMask.
There you go. It's that simple. And by the way, don't worry if you miss some of that, because it's recorded. So you'll be able to come back to the spaces and listen to it and skip through the time and if you want to hear that again. But so I wanted to go back to our last question of the night here. And I'm actually going to go in reverse order than we started with for the presentations. But I know that you all have a 6-month term on the council. What do you aspire to achieve in this time? And so I'll go to you first, Dean.
Yeah. So really, I mean, I have no personal aspirations beyond being a good steward of the DAO. But with that said, it would be amazing if during my time on the council, we're able to build something really special. I believe that Ape has the ability to transcend the world of crypto and reach sort of mainstream non-crypto people. And so my goal would be to see us get on the path of transcending crypto.
I love that. And up next, I'd like to go to Yacht.
So I think for us, I echo Dean's sentiments there, but I would also add that, this to us is on the topic of, mass adoption. The apes are in fact a metaverse first brand. They were essentially born from the metaverse, and they're transcending basically the metaverse identity to the real world, as it were, bringing people on to onto the metaverse, but not from a mainstream brand that came from the traditional world coming into the metaverse, but the other way around. And for us, what we would love to, what I would love to see happen in the next 6 months, that this basically builds a roadmap even deeper, and we're trying to do our part by sort of helping create games and sort of encouraging other companies to build experiences that adopt Ape. But obviously, hopefully by the time the first 6 months is over, we'll have a flourishing beginnings of a healthy ecosystem of companies and people developing on top of what Ape is providing. And at that point, who knows what our role what my role will be, or our role will be, but we'll have set a foundation for something that will hopefully last the ages.
Love it. Well said. Thank you. Maaria?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk first as Maaria, the board member, and then I'll follow up with Maaria as a community member. So I think from the board and fiduciary standpoint, I think people typically tend to overestimate what can be accomplished in 6 to 12 months, and then underestimate what can be accomplished in 5 to 10 years. And so I think for me, for the first 6 months, it's really more about making sure the system works and the process works, and that we're giving people the tools and the utilities that they need in order to accomplish whatever it is that the Ape Foundation can give them. I think also just one thing I want to think about is that crypto moves so quickly, but we also sometimes forget to take a step back and remember what we've accomplished. So ERC 721, which is like the standard of NFTs today, wasn't actually created until 2017. And then USDC I don't think launched until 2018. And that was like the foundation for all of the innovation that happened, a lot of the innovation that happened in DeFi. And regarding like ERC 721 and NFTs, CryptoPunks, which are kind of considered the first NFT collection out there, they're actually on an ERC 20 contract, right? And so I want from a high level, what I want this Ape Foundation to accomplish is putting in the foundational infrastructure of what ERC 721 and what USDC kind of did for NFTs and for DeFi. I want us, an Ape, to be the framework and what we can accomplish with DAOs going forward, right? I want to be that foundational infrastructure. And so I think the way that we get there is by having this infrastructure, having these the proposals are going to be voted on every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, right? And that reminds me of, so I live in Los Angeles, and our local NPR station is called KCRW, and every Wednesday night they have the Santa Monica community, they broadcast it live, the community town hall. And I don't even live in Santa Monica, and I love listening to it because I love participating in sort of what's happening in that city. And I want that. I think tools and things like that, I think can really work really well for the Ape Foundation. And so I'm excited about all of the architecture and all of the infrastructure that we put in place, and I'm hopeful that people actually take advantage of it. And then just taking a step back, so Maaria, as the community member, I have some ideas and things that ways that I want to work with I want to embed Ape Foundation into a lot of the things that we do. And then I also do love a good limbo. We did it at Ape Fest 2021. And what I want for Ape Fest 2022 is I want to see Tropo do the limbo. And that's my goal for the next 6 months.
Very specific.
Love that.
He's down there. I see other apes just like pounding the laughing emoji. Wow. Maaria, I just love it. I think I could listen to you speak for hours straight. And obviously very in tune here with the community. And and so, Amy.
Yeah, I love Maria's framework. I mean, as a council member, I think, I've been a personal student of DAOs for some time, and it would be amazing if in 6 months' time, this community and also sort of externally, people feel like, we've played our part in building the ApeCoin DAO, and people can say, this DAO works and it's, run equitably, smoothly, but also it's just getting a lot of shit done. And that would be incredible to kind of help put in place in the next 6 months. And as a community member, I've been in the gaming and media industry for some number of years, and so just being able to play my part in supporting the ApeCoin DAO in bridging to these industries would be like an incredible honor.
I love that. Getting shit done sounds like exactly what you all have been practicing, exactly what you're preaching for years to get to where you are right now. So it feels really good to hear that. And then last but not least, Alexis.
Yeah, man, I don't know if I can. I cannot top all the things you just heard. I will just pile on and say this. We've seen efforts before. Folks have talked about them. We came close to buying the Constitution. We've seen things happen as internet culture and capital aligned, and this, because it is rooted first and foremost in a community, in a very, very strong community, has the potential to do something very unique. And all I would ask for all of the members of the DAO is to be thinking for the long term, be thinking deliberately, and as you've heard folks say, like, this has the potential to set, no pressure, a standard. It will set a new standard for what a DAO is capable of. It'll set a new standard for what human beings are capable of. I mean, we are absolutely in new territory at this intersection of culture and capital, at this intersection of just humanity and technology. And we're all voyaging on this thing together. And so I feel very fortunate to be on this board with a bunch of amazing folks. And for the next 6 months, we're going to do our best. And ultimately, you all are going to make this happen. And the part that just, it floated into my head as I was hearing you all talk is like I said at the jump, internet culture is culture. And what you're going to see happen over the next 6 months, the next few years, is lots of folks who are not native to the internet, large brands, the kinds of things that are, they have people rank their love of these brands by the number of tattoos they have, right? These are beloved communities that have existed over decades. The origin of this is a year old, but already has such a high level of community and strength and excitement. And at the end of the day, for all of those sort of pre-Web3 brands, they really believe that they believe that Web3 is their ally, but hold on. They merely adopted the darkness. We were born in it, molded by it. And that reality is unique. It is truly native to this community. It's not something, you can't fake that, right? You have to have participated in it from jump. And you got my Bane impression out of me, so there you go. But I think there's something special that's happening here, and I'm just so excited to see what this community does with it. So, thank you.
Wow. I mean, that was just perfect, and always so much passion, Alexis. And I think, actually all of you here, thank you so much for giving us your time. I'm sure it's been quite an emotional and eventful day for all of you, as it's been for the entire community here. We just, I think all of us, some started last night on Spaces, some very early this morning, all around the world for this. It's been very exciting, and it's just been an honor being able to moderate this panel and to hear you speak and about this incredible ApeCoin DAO that and the board that you all are a part of. So thank you so much, Alexis, Yacht, Amy, Maaria, Dean, and of course, ApeCoin for putting this together. This was recorded. You'll be able to come back to it. You'll be able to skip through, etc. I'm sure there's going to be some stuff about it tomorrow for you to read more about as well. And yeah, so super, super grateful. So thank you for trusting us with this. And I guess we're excited to see what comes next. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Brooke.
Yeah.
Thank you all. It was fun.
Thanks everyone for listening in.
Hell yeah. Shout out to everybody, and we'll see you around.